All right. So I'm about to share screen with you guys, and I'm going to present to you what we are doing. Let me see. I got to get more room. Let me see. Here we go. Share screen. And let's go to desktop. And got a lot of stuff to move around. I'm trying not to get confused with all this stuff. But we're going to see. View, present. All right. Everybody can see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So to be clear, what I'm doing with you today is the beginning of what we're going to be doing the next couple of weeks. I've already talked to you about the free writing. You've read those 8 short articles and excerpts, right? One of which was actually an editorial cartoon. We did a little bit about looking at credibility, the evidence, things like that. Now we're going to talk about how to make a source, citing sources, and making a claim. Not how just to read it, but how to write about it. This is getting you ready for what's going to happen down the road with the AP exam, and not this weekend, but by next weekend, you're going to be actually writing about these sources in a short essay. Because on the actual exam, you get 2 hours and 15 minutes. So you got a certain amount of time to read the articles and process, and then the rest of the time to use to write the essay. What you're doing today is you're going to process one source and do some very specific things that I ask you to do. All right, so these are the ELA standards being covered today. And we do this all the time anyway, but I have to put this in here today. To cite strong and thorough evidence to support your analysis and to determine the text's central idea. So this is reading informational text, RI1, RI2. Any questions on that?
No.
And this is the kind of thing you need in life. Everything is a text, every situation, every person, every action, and you want to be able to read situations well to understand what's going on. All right, this is a complimentary ELD standard for English learners. And this is about the writing, connecting ideas within sentences using a variety of language. We're talking about independent and dependent clauses, compound sentences, complex sentences. And this is things that you do generally naturally, whether you're aware of it or not. Okay, this is important. What I'm giving you here, and you're going to see in a minute, you're going to actually use some academic language today. Now, you know there are a ton of power verbs, right? I just gave you a few. I want you to look here. I think some of the best ones here: affirms, exposes, asserts, underscores, which means to emphasize, establishes. Because what I'm going to ask you to do is to use some power verbs today in your writing. Now, look here. This is almost the same thing. These are some of those signal verbs. I tried to pick the ones that I knew were the easiest that you would understand. I want to see you try to use them. You could say that, the text advises, it claims. Okay. So everybody look right here. This is what you're going to be writing on today. It's a very limited thing. So you're not going to be doing any major writing. You're going to probably write 3 to 4 sentences, and you're going to do that collaboratively, working with other kids in your group. So you're going to identify the main claim or idea of whichever article I assign you to. So in other words, what does that mean? You're going to evaluate the text to see, does the author agree or disagree with the claim that people under the age of 30 are the dumbest generation? Now, they may agree somewhat, or they might seem to be pushing back against that. They disagree. It doesn't have to be 100% all or nothing. They seem to be leaning toward, yes, this generation is lacking, or this generation, they just disagree. They think they're advantaged. What I'm asking you to do is to cite one piece of evidence from that one source and explain how it supports the writer's claim. Now, what I'm going to do is remind you of some things. This APE, we did this last semester. Answer the prompt. Now, we just saw the prompt, right? So you're going to have to go back to that prompt on your own. Let me move some things out of the way. Because again, this was the prompt, the writing prompt. Identify the main claim and cite one piece of evidence. Is everybody clear? You got 2 things to do. Talk to me because I can't see the chat right now.
Yes, sir.
We're good.
All right. In the middle part, in other words, this is just me explaining what I mean by identify. Okay. So let's move forward. So when you cite evidence, you might want to tell me is some of your, and for this, I don't think you're going to really be dealing with the author's credibility unless in the article they tell you, or maybe in the bio, they say something about expert degrees or whatever. Do they use logic, facts, and statistics? Or do they do an appeal to emotion? Remember, a personal story. So that's the proof. So you're going to have to literally paraphrase it, quote it, summarize it, something from the text. And then what I want you to do is which is super important, explain how you understand the evidence. Okay. This is when you use the signal verbs or power verbs. Okay. So again, to make sure everybody's super clear, right? You're going to use this academic language today. You're going to use either the signal verbs. Let me see. Hold on, so I can get this thing to do what I want. Okay, so you're going to be trying to use some of the power verbs. You're going to be using some of the signal verbs. And again, the prompt, identify the main claim or idea. And then the second part, cite one piece of evidence. And what does it mean to identify? In the middle there. In other words, evaluate the text to see, does the author agree? Because here's the real thing. Does the author disagree with this claim or agree with it that people under the age of 30 are the dumbest generation? And again, they may not say directly that I think blah, blah, blah. You have to look and see how it's implied and infer that. And then that evidence is how you're going to get me to know that you understood that. So again, you're going to use APE, answer the prompt, which you see there, cite evidence, and then look at what type of evidence. This is using your prior knowledge about understanding the rhetorical appeals. Big important part, explain how you understand the evidence. And again, this is when you will use some of those signal verbs or power verbs. So what I've done is you're all going to be in this presentation in a minute. I'm giving you sentence stems. This is for the first part of answering the question. The main idea of the text is, because you might be, the main idea of the text is this generation isn't as smart. The text is mostly about how that's good or not. You don't have to use my sentence stems, but I do think the first 4 or 5, I guess even the next one too, the first 5 or 6 are ideal. Does anybody have any question about that? Yes, no, because I don't see the chat right now.
No.
Okay, and understand, do you have to use these?
No.
You absolutely don't. But the idea is they're there if you need them. Now let's look. When you get to that part where you're trying to give the proof, where you're citing proof and evidence, you're going to explain how you understand the evidence you cited. I don't know why I have these 2 hyphens here, but it should say according to the text. That's whichever one you have. Then you will summarize or paraphrase evidence, right? This is where you put in what it was. You can then tell me the evidence is an appeal to whichever one, ethos, logos, or pathos. And then this is where you go and you look at those signal verbs. The evidence argues, the evidence illustrates, the evidence suggests, the position that, okay? And where you explain it. I understand this because, and your free reign here, make me understand how you interpreted that piece of evidence to show where this person, the author, stood in terms of this generation under 30 years of age being the dumbest generation or not. Now, that's quite a bit that I've said there. I'm pulling up the chat so I can see that. But also, anyone have any questions? Do you feel like you understand what I'm going to be asking you to do?
Yes.
Okay, that's always Mr. Merlo, so I can count on him with a yes. What about the rest of you? How about in the chat? just put yes or question mark if you have it, or something, just so I can get a better sense of the room. Everybody understanding? I'm asking you to respond. So people are saying they got it. Mark's good. Ever, is there anybody who's got a question? All right, Roxana, we're good. Fiddling. All righty. That's not everybody. What about the rest of you jokers lurking in the background there? Are you okay? All right, I'm going to move away from the chat for a second and let me show you something. You see this screen?
Right now,
I'm sorry, somebody saying something to me? All right. So, yeah, because I skipped something here. I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. You're going to be working with some other kids in the class. The groups are 2 or 3. I'm going to monitor these rooms. This is what I'm expecting to hear when I come through. If you have a question, I'll give you feedback or whatever, but you want to talk to each other. You're going to have enough time that you can be looking in your book at your article. Maybe one of you can be the reader, another can be the recorder, but everybody has to be a part of that discussion. What is the author's opinion about? This is what you may ask somebody else in the group about the dumbest generation. Where's your proof? Now, note that third bullet, very important. When you look at your articles, there's a number of paragraphs. So when you're talking to each other and you're trying to tell somebody what you're looking at, tell them what the paragraph is. Tell them which line it is so that then you can read it or discuss it and everybody in the group is on the same page, literally. Are we understanding what I'm saying here?
Yes, sir.
All right.
No, Mr. Say it again.
Okay, no worries. So you can't just go and immediately write the answers. Y'all got to kind of talk to one another, right? So these are examples of how to do that using academic language. Where is your proof? Like, what evidence are you looking at? Then the person might tell you, I'm looking at paragraph 3, line 3. And then you all can take a minute and then somebody can read that. And then you can say the evidence using a power verb suggest such and so, because, or I understood it this way because the text illustrates, and I understand that to mean. Because in other words, before you guys write, you all have to agree and talk about what you all feel was the answer to the prompt. Does that help, Evan?
Yeah.
Okay. And again, and I'll show you a couple other things. So here's what's going to happen. This is like whoever has source 1, that's the page it was on. So you all should have your book, The Language of Composition, right? Ever, Roxana, and Sam are going to be on page 167 and 168. See where it says type here? I'm going to share the document. Messed up. See how do I get back? And right where it says type your response, you'll be able to do that. In a minute, I'm going to give a link to everybody. And you will be live in this document as an editor. You don't have to rush to write. You'll see what I'm saying in a moment. And let me just show you. So each one of you has already been put, and that's going to be the breakout room you're in. These are the people that you're going to work with. And for Is Google Making Us Stupid, I think I forgot to put the page number. And for Jade, Zaid, and Brian, I'm going to just tell you that's page 170. Is everybody kind of getting a sense of what's happening?
Yep.
All right. So here's what I'm going to do. And there's 7 rooms. There's Erica, Carlos, and Emily. Your brain on video games. There's source number 7, the new literacy. And I'm going to give you guys quite a lot of time. Once I put you in the rooms, I'm going to bring you back at 10 minutes till 11 so that we can then look at some of the things that you wrote. I don't expect you all to finish all of this today, but I do need you to, you should be able to identify a theme and cite. I've given it to you in a very limited way, but whatever you have done at that point, that's what we're going to look at. Any questions on that?
No, sir.
All right. So couple things. I'm going to stop the share for a second. I'm going to go and just get it in here so that you have it. I'm going to put the link. This is a live document. Right now, you're not going to do anything, but it's there so that everybody has access. Let me see. Why is that not? There we go. So what I'd like to do is make sure that you're all able to get in, but hold a minute because I'm pretty positive it's fine. I want you now to go to your textbook. Let's see. Better yet, go to the document and let me go to it as well. I'm going to share, but I want to see it live to see what you guys are, that you're in there. If anybody can't get in that document, I'm going to want to know. Okay, so everybody go to the link that I just put in the chat and make sure that you can go to the live version of it.
You say you put some in the chat?
Yeah, I put, oh, you know what? Glad you said something. I put it to everyone, but it's in the waiting room and nobody's in the waiting room. So that's a problem. There you go. Okay. There it is to everyone. Okay. Everybody see it now?
No.
I see it.
It's in the chat. It's to everyone. All you need to check the chat. It should be the thing that's showing. And let me escape. And then I want to share the screen because I'm going to model how to do this for you. Just give me a minute. So right now, can everybody see the document and see me moving around in it, right? I see 8 of you are in, or more than 8. 13 of you are in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's about 5 of you who aren't in there yet. What's anybody having an issue?
Can you put the link back in the chat, please?
Sure. Let me go back. Okay, just a second. All right, I put it back in there. So it looks like everybody's here for the most part. Is there anybody who's having an issue?
Not me.
All right. So I'm going to close the chat for a second because it's like one more screen in my way. I'm going to keep the document this size. Here's what I'm expecting you to do. Everybody see me moving the document around in the share? Yeah. So I literally expect you to do this. Go back to, here's the power verbs, right? Here's the signal verbs. Now, I don't want you to try to copy anything from this. Write down a few that you think you might want to use. Everybody go and look at the writing prompt. Know that you've got to identify the main claim or idea of the source, and then cite a piece of evidence from the source. Okay? Now, if we go all the way down, remember that there were 8 sources, but the 8th source was this political cartoon. Everybody see that?
Yeah. We see it.
Okay, this is what happens in the live document, and this is where you're going to ultimately end up writing what you do. See, I clicked on type your response here. So I'm going to actually put in what I think. The editorial cartoon from the New Yorker magazine seems to agree with the idea that this generation is lacking or is the dumbest generation. So that right there, that's me answering the question for the prompt, right? So what do I need to do next? According to the writing prompt, let's go back up to it. Somebody read that third little section, that last sentence.
Can I do it?
Sure, go ahead.
Cite one piece of evidence from the source text and explain how it supports the writer's claim.
So that's what I'm about to do. Let me go back down here to mine. And let's go, before I even do that, I'm going to go back up to some of the frames. This was for answering the prompt. For here, I think I'm going to go with the evidence is an appeal to, I think, pathos, which is feelings. And I think I'm going to talk about according to the text source. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into mine. And I'm going to type that. Okay, period. The cartoon is an appeal to emotions. In the picture or image, we see a young man on a laptop, but he's apparently in a library full of books. The books all have faces and appear upset. He's ignoring them. So now, thinking about a power verb, this image underscores, there's one of those verbs. I'll even put suggest that the young man is at fault and too focused on technology. I understand this because, and I'm going to use a power verb, because the image juxtaposes, and remember that was a thing where you show a jarring contrast, juxtaposes all those books compared to or contrasted to a laptop. Yes.
The question we're supposed to be answering is like the one with the general writing prompt, right? Where it says identify the main claim or ideas, and then
Right.
another evaluate the text.
Exactly. Because, and let's be clear, there's nothing here that says the dumbest generation. So I said, no, it seems to agree with the idea that this generation is lacking or is the dumbest generation. So
when we read it, it's not exactly going to say I agree or I disagree.
Exactly.
It's like the way they word it.
Right.
And then when we write the little paragraph, we got to put a word from one of the little the things.
Right. We're trying to get you to start using that academic language. Okay. And let me show you something which maybe I need to go back to. Let's see. So again, there's the prompt. Identify the main claim or the idea of the source. And what I did was exactly this. I evaluated the text to see, does the author agree or disagree with this claim? People under the age of 30 are the dumbest generation. I cited multiple pieces of evidence because I'm looking at images. So I talked about the books, the laptop, the setting, library. That was me answering the question. Anybody else have a question about what I did? And you may not get this perfectly done today. That's not the point. It's to start grappling with language and figuring out how to translate interpretation of a text. So let's look at the stems again. The main idea of the text, because I didn't use exactly what was here, but this, you can use these. I could have said the main idea of the editorial cartoon is this generation is failing to be as literate, or whatever I wanted to say. Everybody following me?
Yeah.
Okay, that's that one lone voice out there in the wilderness. In the chat, if you got a question and you don't want everybody to be all up in your business, thank you, Michelle. I see your direct message. Let me know. And I see you're back, Michelle. Great. Anybody in here not clear, or you need me to clarify something? Am I going to take this lack of response to be we're all good? So if we're all good, why don't you give me something in here? I'm good, just so I know, so there's not too much confusion. There's like 20 of you up in here, so responding. I'm looking at the chat, but I'm also going to go to the other sentence stems. Look at these right here. Using power verbs and signal verbs. This is when you use them, not to identify the main idea, but when you're trying to say what you think the evidence is and how it's being used. According to the text source, and then here, the first thing you might do is summarize or paraphrase something that you read. Then you might tell me what kind of appeal is that? And is it effective or not? You could add that. Okay? The evidence, and then note when we get to the third one, this is when you start to use the power verbs or the signal verbs. The evidence suggests, the evidence argues, the evidence illustrates. So you're going to navigate up and down on this, just like I'm doing, to get to the what? The power verbs, to see which one you might want to use, the signal verbs to see what you might use. And what I'm going to caution you not to do is do not go in and try to copy, cut and paste out one of the stems. It will not work and it'll mess up the document. Like, I got it saved a million times, but many of you are going to be in here. The first thing you're going to do, though, is not try to type. You got to talk to people in your group. All right. And when I have you share the document, you're going to go to whichever one has your name. That's who the people you're going to be in group with as well. You will write on source one. And if you click right here, no matter how much you write, it'll just make it smaller if it has to. Everybody should be able to fit whatever you want to say in there. Questions? Comments? And again, okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, nothing.
Okay, and let's be clear why you're doing this. When you do the AP exam, you've got like 2 hours and 15 minutes to look at this number of sources, come up with your own claim, and then you have to cite at least 4 of the sources to use them to support your claim or things that you want to refute why you don't feel this is effective, because you want to be thinking about both sides. So what we're doing today is a smaller version to start to get you there. All right. And again, as I said a little earlier, we're talking about RI1 and RI2, reading informational text, citing strong evidence, and determining the central idea. That's what you're doing. So what I want you guys to do, because it's going to take me a second to get this breakout room thing together, I'm going to stop sharing. You're in the document, but don't do anything with it right now. And I've got to put you in breakout rooms, and this is going to be technologically challenging for the old man. So bear with me. And then I'm going to start coming around to the rooms to see where you are and what you're doing. First thing you're going to do is look at those conversation norms. That's what I'm looking to hear you guys having a conversation. If you need to do a little bit of reading, you're fine. It looks like we're going to run out of a lot of time, but we're still going to get in here. Good Lord. And we will come back to this next week. But let's see if you can at least today answer the first question. Does this thing seem to agree or disagree? So give me a second. All right. So for source number 1, not ever. Oksana. And what you can be doing while I'm doing this part is on your own. You're reading your, well, you don't know what your source is, so you can't really do that. It's just going to take me a minute. It's just technology. Luis Fidelin. And okay, so some of you are going to see where you've been invited to to go to your room. So Ever, Roxana, Sam, Luis, and Fiddlin, you should be able to go to your room. I'm going to do source 3. Unassigned. Okay, apparently I messed this up and okay, there's room 3. So let's see. So it seems like I've only created 3 rooms, and if I close them all, I'm going to end up messing this up. I can't add. So our rooms are going to be looking a little different than I anticipated. But we're going to get this through this. Everybody at this point is trying to get in a room. So let me see. I'm going to assign you to room 1, Orlando. So as you get to a room, for today, we're going to put you in. If you're in room 1, you're going to be doing source 1. If you're in room 2, you're going to be doing source 2. And if you're in room 3, you're going to be doing source 3. And we'll come back to this next week and do more. So, and I'm going to come to the rooms to make sure you're clear where you are. Mm-hmm. So there's still 3 of you. I'm about to get you to rooms. Just bear with me. All right. So Mark is still here. Nope, everybody's been assigned to a room. He just decided not to go.
Mister.
Yes.
Can I get to room 5, please?
Brian.
Room 2 on accident.
What room were you in?
5. I'm supposed to be in 5. I was in 2.
No, I had to kind of move things around because I only created 3 rooms. So I see why you came back.
All right.
So you're going to be in room 3. Let me go into rooms so people know what they're doing. So accept the room.
Mr. Capers, you can send me to any room.
Okay. Now, how about Dr. Thomas? I need a little technical help because this is supposed to be day 2, not day 1, but because I was absent. And I don't know how to go into the breakout rooms.
You just click next to, do you see your name?
I don't.
On the list?
No.
Okay, well, click breakout room. And it should say go to. Any of the rooms where it says breakout room 1, breakout room 2, breakout room 3. You should be able to click in that same line. It should say,
I see where it says join now. Thank you. So I'm going to put you in 3, and I'm going to go to 3. Okay.
Okay.
So do you see it? Will you let me in the room? I'm trying to join. There we go. Join. Yes. Okay. So you guys here in breakout room number 3. I'm going to have you guys do source number 3 together. Or better yet, let me see who's in here. Michelle and Janelle, you're going to be doing source number 3. You got that, Michelle and Janelle?
Yeah.
Okay, so go to that one. That's the one I want you to look and at least try to get to, trying to tell me what your main idea is. Just telling me, number 1, to identify where does this article fall. Now, most of you already read this and knew you were coming, so it shouldn't be too hard to do that. For Carlos and Zaid, I want you to do source number 1, the dumbest generation. You guys got that on that slide?
Sure.
Yes, sir.
All right. And let me see. Who else I got in here? I got Zaid. Did I just give you a room?
He told me source number 1, the dumbest generation.
Okay. So that was, and for Mark, I'm going to put you in room number and for source 4. So find that one in the document. And you're going to do that with Brian Sosa. So that's Mark and Brian for source number 4. I'm going to come back in a minute to maybe see how you're doing, but I'm going to go check out another room. What I'd like to hear is first just asking each other, what do you think the main idea is? How's that working? And you know to whom you're addressing that. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Mr. Capers, I got a question.
Sure, Brian. I mean,
It's
Carlos. Go ahead.
Saeed, Mr. Right here where it says confirm your reading group assignment homework. It says I'm in source 4 with Jade, Bryant.
Yeah, and I know.
How come you're telling me to do source 1?
Yeah, I'm doing that because I messed up the rooms. Basically.
Got it.
That's
Yes,
all.
sir. I think
I wasn't
you
able to
mixed
break
up
it
the
down into
Bryans.
7 rooms. My bad.
Capers.
Mm-hmm.
You mix up the Bryans. I'm Sosa.
I'm sorry. Okay, so let me figure out how to get up out of this room and go to another breakout room. And you know what? Upon reflection, this is going to be super mad confusing. I want everybody in this room just talking to each other all on the same topic. There are going to be too many competing conversations. That's not going to work. I apologize for the confusion. Everybody in here, you're just going to do source number 1, the dumbest generation. So talk amongst yourselves. Everybody in this room, in this group together. That just makes more sense. Okay? I'll be back.
All right.
Hey, you guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cut the music off. We forgot that. Everybody in this room, all of you together are going to work on source number 2, slide number 2 today. The dumbest generation. Don't be dumb. That's the one on page 168, 169. Don't pay attention to the names I put on the slide. That's what all of you guys are going to talk about. And I want to get from you just to cite what you understand to be the main idea. You're not going to try to do any evidence right now because we don't have enough time. And I want you to use...
Say it again.
You're all doing... Go to slide number... for group number 2. That's the slide you're going to do. Source number 2. Okay. You all got that now? Talk to me, people, because I can't see all the chat.
Yeah, I got it.
All right. So use that academic language, talking to each other. What are you seeing and all that? I'm going to be back in a minute.
All right. So do you guys got the book open, or I'm not the only person talking, dude? I'm not gonna keep doing it.
All right, you guys. Mad confusion today, but that's okay. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
So despite what your slides say, you're all going to do source number 3, the 4 of you. What I'd like to get from you in the next 6 minutes before you leave is one sentence telling me what the main idea is in terms of, does this author agree with or disagree with the idea of the dumbest generation? You got it? This is living, you know what? No, I tell you what, I want you guys to do slide 4. Because I think that's easier for what we're doing. And it's Is Google Making Us Stupid? Page 170. Everybody got that? Talk to me, people. It makes it easier.
Yes.
You're all doing Is Google Making Us Stupid? Now, you're not answering that question. You're telling me, from looking at it, what's the main idea? Does this article think that people under the age of 30 are the dumbest generation. Do you agree or disagree? You're not going to have time to give evidence. We'll do that next time. I'm going to be back to check on you guys before we come back. Yeesh. Okay, so Carlos and company, how's it going in here?
We were able to find the source. Now we're just trying to find out the main idea.
All right. So when someone has what they think to be the main idea, and remember, the writing prompt is saying, in relationship to this generation, 30 and under being the dumbest generation, does this author seem to agree or disagree? Okay.
Understood.
All right. And let's see. So Fiddlin, Celise, Luis, Erica, you guys are taking and looking at your source now and thinking about it and what you are going to come up with in terms of this one answer, right?
Yes.
Okay. And we don't have much time. We're running out of time, but that's okay. This is a rough run, but we're here. And what will happen is next class, we will continue this and we'll just use the entire class time. There is quite a lot of stuff to front load with this, I think.
Like ethos, pathos, logos. What do you think he's using?
My opinion, he could either be using logos because there's some statistical facts right here, like 22%.
Yeah.
Or he probably go with ethos. I don't know about pathos though.
I think logos, because he does talk about like 2003 surveys. He talks about percentage and
Then he gives us like more well, not more numbers, but he gives us specific numbers.
I like that you guys are talking about the evidence, but I have a question for you. Did you guys figure out where do you think the author stands on his opinion about this generation? Does he think that people under 30 are the dumbest generation?
Yeah, that's what we think. Yeah.
So did you guys type that into your
Oh no, we was just discussing.
Yeah, I see. I hear the discussion, and this is good. All right, so carry on.
How would I word the dumbest generation don't be born?
So I was keeping a note of all that though.
That's stupid.
Oh boy, I was reading 3. All right.
So, are you guys grappling with coming up with your claim, your sentence? Okay, anybody hearing me there?
Yeah.
So, Fiddlin, what I want you guys to do, we're going to deal with the evidence. If you can, try to get in at least what you understand to be the main claim. Where does this author fall in terms of his opinion about this generation? And we're going to come back next week, okay? And then we can deal with the evidence part. I'm going to bring you all back into the main room in a minute, okay?
Okay.
All right, I guess I need to do that now.
sir.
All right. So, guys, it's 11 o'clock. We're going to come back to this document.
You're on mute.
Uh-oh. Thank you. Okay, guys. So this took a little longer. It was an ambitious lesson. We're going to come back to this on next week, and we'll deal with the evidence then. And you may be in the breakout rooms that I want you in with only 2 or 3 of you working together. But this was a kind of a trial run. It's 11. So you guys are dismissed, and I will see you next week. Have a good weekend.
Yes, sir.
Capers.
Have a nice weekend.
All right, you too.
Oh, Mister, I think there's AP readiness classes this weekend, so I don't know if you want us to go to any specific one.
Yeah, I already put an update for it, and I'll tell you about which sessions might be most ideal.
I understand.
All right,
I
thank you.
understand.
All right, so everybody should be heading to their next class.